My activity was online group argument writing and online discussion forums, and it was published as activity number 3 in the book Technology Enhanced Language Learning in Action in by APACALL. Before I talk about the activity, the way it was planned, and with all other things like the brief description and the time used and what were the goals achieved and what could be the improvements, I'll just talk about the context and tools that I have used, because as we know that technology in isolation can't work. So firstly, whenever like any teacher integrates the technology, should think about the appropriacy of the technology. And actually, that took some time when I did that. My context is that I teach law undergraduates in their first year, and language is English 1 and 2 are the two components that we teach them in semester 1 and 2. So one of the writing components that come in semester 2 is argument writing. And as we know that for law students is crucial, they cannot actually, it's kind of a life skill for them if they acquire that skill of argument writing well. With regular classroom teaching and the limited number of hours we have, it's actually not possible to make them practice so much in argument writing and even giving counter arguments and questioning their peers. So I just thought of a platform where I can make them practice, and a discourse community is created online where they can go and do that argument writing, drafting, and feedback activity. And so it was kind of a supplement to classroom teaching, and that is why, yeah, blended learning. And regarding the tools, I had to actually make it evaluative as well. I had to stick to the university platform, and the university's a learning management system that is based on Moodle, that is the open free software or platform we have to create LMS. So this is how it looks, and I think most of us know that there are many ways in which this LMS can be used. There are many options like assignments, taking their assignments, quizzes, and then you can insert some hyperlinks, web links could be integrated with that. And discussion forums again is one of the platforms and that can be used on LMS. And I chose that because it's open and it's like it can be there's no word limit as such, and students are free to uh, contribute as much as they want. So that is why that was about the choice of this. And initially, I gave them topics and then made sorry, I made groups and then gave some topics to them. And as you can see, it was started by me only, and then the discussion, different topics to different groups, and they had actually replied. So this is actually a data that I've taken from my university elements. And then coming to like the systematic discussion of the activity. So it was, as you know, designed for writing and discussing argument structures and the contents of an argument in detail and as a supplementary to classroom teaching. And it can be used at any level when we talk about applicability of this. So it can be done with school children, it can be done at in higher education where teaching academic writing becomes important, because argument development is a key component of critical thinking. That's again one of the major aims of higher education. So it can be used at like at any level of language teaching. So the target language obviously was English, and the target language skills and areas are academic writing and academic argument drafting. And the students were not very poor. If I talk about, I won't say poor, were not at the uh, starting level of English proficiency. They were in the range of B2 and C1, means they were able to express themselves properly when I started with that. So that's actually a requisite when they enter and start doing that. So again, the activity aims to involve the undergraduates into critical thinking and peer review process to assist them in appropriation of their argument drafting skills. And the total duration actually, it was divided into two parts. Like I first gave them the topics, and then they were given 40 minutes to just do some research about the topic, get some content, and have their original ideas on that. And then after 40 minutes, the activity started on the discussion forum, and they were given 120 minutes to post their claims, and the other students, like everybody was posting claims, and then they were giving proper reasoning and evidences as it was taught. The basic structure of the argument is such: you have a claim, you have an argument, you have evidences, then you have counter claims, you have rebuttal. So they were doing all sorts of activities on the discussion forum, and they were given 120 minutes. Now it can be easily extended to hours and days depending on like how much time do you really want to give your students, and as per the requirement of your activity. Then if we talk about procedure, I've more or less told about this, that uh, it's the teaching about teaching. First, it was classroom teaching of the structure of argument, and then students were introduced to online discussion forum and the basic functioning of this. And then the class was divided into groups. So with me, it was 8 students in around 6 to 7 groups, and then these are a few examples that the kind of topic I gave. And this I've already discussed, that the time that was given to students for that activity. Then some scope for improvement is that the functioning of forums should be told in detail. That again comes to the digital literacy part. Sometimes students kind of consume that time that is allotted for doing activity in just knowing that how it functions, or are we working on it properly or not. So, and sometimes students actually created an altogether new thread that was not required. They had to post in the same thread that was started by me. So, and it's again is quite taxing for the teacher, because have to keep an eye on all groups at the same time. So, an option could be blind peer assessment of the group activity, so that still I have to explore further on this and know what's the feasibility and how to actually plan and implement that in the classroom. So, and that's all about it. And yes, justification actually is the context with which I started. So the context was, as I told you, that it was law students and some socio-legal discourse community was to be made in the separate time that was for lectures, and I had to engage them in process-based writing, because the moment you just tell them that it's a specimen of a good argument and expect that they can copy it perfectly, so that's not possible. We need tutorials, we need some extra practice for that. And yes, if, so that's all. And I think it was a practice in digital literacy creation, as well as Sir also mentioned that for teachers it's required. I think it has worked for both teachers and students here, because the process, the frameworks that Sir told us about information search, creation, communication, and collaboration, it all worked in the context in the activity that I have just discussed with you. So thank you so much, and thanks for this opportunity.